good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy, your weekly movie podcast. I'm your host, Mephisto, and always with me, my co-host, Oh My Feelings. Good evening to you, sir.
Eating, buddy.
A little bit late, but that's okay because we have our man Drexel. How you doing from the MigtownPodcast? Podcast?
What's up? I'll be with my main man, the man who put me on, my lighter skinned brother Nick Ricada. He's doing another 24-hour stream because he's insane. Next Friday. He's literally he's completely insane.
Are you going to be there?
Yes, I'll be there.
Live and in the flesh?
I'll be. Yeah, this is the longest I've not been at Nick's place. Normally, people would see me over there all the time.
Yeah.
So just because it was my daughter's volleyball schedule that kept us out. So,
all right.
So now I'll finally, now that volleyball's done and the kids are getting out of school in a couple of weeks, so they'll see me pop back up over there. Your intro actually, it hurt me, man. I'm not gonna lie. Your intro hurt me. You know why?
Why?
Here's why. I'm watching the intro, and it is epic, right? Epic intro.
Of course.
And then it hits me. This shit's never gonna happen again. The people who grow up right now, hey, Oh My Feelings. Have you talked to kids now? Like all the movies, I can name them: Halloween, Friday the 13th, Collateral, When Harry Met. Dude, Meth, there's gonna be a whole generation who will literally only know woke garbage bullshit movies. You see what I'm saying?
And this is why this podcast is here, because every week we send you to go watch a movie. You watch it, come back to us. We break it down. We talk about it. We do everything that like geek out on it basically for about a couple of hours, maybe even less, and just convey our love for movies, for old movies, even new movies, and movies that sometimes movies we thought were awesome, and rewatching them was like, I don't know why I like this shit. Basically. All right. Just amenities before we do everything. If you want to contact me, please do it on Twitter. By the way, this week, someone told me, hey, dude, you keep telling people that your like DMs are open. Your DMs are not open. I was like, no. It's a fucking tick. Fuck you, Twitter. Anyway, if you want to talk to me on Instagram, for sure. I never get messages and I never check it, so you can do that. Email us at the Reel McCoy Podcast on gmail.com. Or if you want to watch us on Twitch, this is simultaneously cast to Twitch as well. If you want to do that, of course, our man Drexel, who got bullied into having a Twitter account, the Real Drex, if you want. Or for sure, it is linked in the description down below. You can go check him out on the MigTown Podcast on YouTube. Real good, hard hitting podcast. I like it. It's harsh, but you get the truth. Yeah, you get the sad, honest truth. To be honest,
you know the irony, the irony of the world we live in, and this includes movies. So the world is harsh due to pussification. You see what I'm saying? So like now, if you ask somebody, okay, is the world hard or soft? It depends on what way you look at it, right? There's so many triggered, woke lamos, right? That they're soft. However, due to the laws and agendas they've pushed, and like think about it, look at movies now, right? We have to have inclusion and diversity. Do you guys remember? I saw you guys have the ending with Blade with Wesley Snipes going. Dude, everybody that I knew growing up, and I do mean everybody, no one cared who the protagonist or antagonist was. None. Like nobody was like, you know what, all my feelings, I want to see more represent. No, dude, if you saw Blade as a white dude, you were just psyched up to see Wesley Snipes kick ass. If you're a black dude and you saw Christopher Reeve as Superman, you were just excited to see Superman kick ass. Like, no one cared about any of this until they just made it a point in every movie now, right?
We talked about this, and in this podcast, what's important for us is story, character development, hero's journey, if there is a hero's journey, unreliable narrative, everything that has to do with the movie itself, with all the different aspects. You want diversity? Watch fucking Pulp Fiction. That's Oh My Feelings' favorite movie. One of my top 3 or 5. I don't even remember. It's
Pulp Fiction's a real deal. Gets better when you get older, because when I saw that movie, I was 12.
Yeah,
and
it gets way better.
Yeah, it was way better when I got older. And like also, I'll show you a movie that you guys had in the intro that cannot be made now, even though I heard they're going to try to remake it. Big Trouble in Little China. Quirky, out of control movies like that because it's too much of a risk, right? It's too out there.
It's too out there.
In the 80s, that was what you saw, like Reanimator and all these like crazy movies. Like, what am I watching? Like, it was the era of like, if you notice, go back to the 80s, there wasn't a bunch of movies that were like all also rans. You see what I'm saying? Terminator was new, Predator was new. Like, these weren't based on other movies or other. Whereas now, look at all your movies, right? Everything is based on something. It's like, can we please have something?
It's a sequel or it's a remake. That's all it is.
Sequel, remake. That's it.
Yeah.
Think about it. What's the new Predator's name?
Oh,
Prey.
God. Yeah, Prey. And it's all full woke. The new Wars, full woke.
We are here to talk about 1 Hour Photo, because if you want to talk about today's influence back in 2002, this is the one. Before we start, you know what? I've made a mistake because you know what? I'm being distracted. Before we start everything, we go to All My Feelings. Before we start everything, we get the lowdown on everything that is going on behind the screens, and that's why we have Behind the Screens.
Production take 2.
Right, we defer to All My Feelings notes. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so originally Trent Reznor actually composed the entire score for the film.
Nice.
Had one finished, then Romanek went back, reviewed it, and declined it.
Is that available now in any form?
Actually, what's funny is Trent Reznor actually used that to do it was the Lights Part 2. That's the sequencing that he had for the score of this film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Keep going.
The names of a lot of the main characters and even some ancillary characters in the films were all based off of famous photographers.
So who's Seymour? I don't remember. Oh, dude, me and names, it's gonna be bad. Except for Sai, I don't even remember.
With Owens, Yorkin, Parrish, Yoshi Araki.
Okay.
The film tech, Bunsen, Overbridge. They're all some alliteration or a term on a famous photographer.
Okay.
Which is a theme you're going to get a lot in this movie.
Obviously.
There's a scene where Sai does a condemnation where he says, how can you take someone and give them 2 days of training and expect them to do the color screening right on a set of photos? Robin Williams went to a boot camp that was 2.5 days of training.
Damn.
You said to me when we were backstage before Drexel joined us that a lot of the lines in the movie are like inside jokes, right? Are they production inside jokes or just references to something else?
References to something else.
Okay.
A lot of them, but
all right.
Jack Nicholson was actually originally approached for the role to play Sai.
Did you say why he declined?
He declined it because of a line that's later on in the film where, you know how when Sai calls Maya's hotel room?
Yeah.
And about the room service and says, oh, this is room 217, right?
Yeah. And
in the novel, The Shining, that's actually the correct room. It's 237 in the Stanley Kubrick film that everyone knows. And what's funny as well is that Robin Williams was also considered for the role of Jack in The Shining prior to it going to Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
No, the thing is
so very intertwined there.
He could have done a good job, but nobody in when did Shining come out? 76?
80?
No, early 80s.
Later?
80. 1980.
Oh,
exactly 1980. Yeah.
So that's post World according to Garp?
Yes, and post Mork and Mindy. Yeah.
And Popeye. Never mind.
Yeah.
No,
Popeye was in the late 90s. That was way later.
No way. No, you keep going. I'll give you the.
Anyway, so again, as usual, domestic stuff. $12 million budget, still $52.2 million gross. That's damn good for a film like this, especially at the time.
Yeah, adjust that for inflation, man. That's big money.
Yeah,
that's big money.
This
really
movie came
good
out
money.
with 20. I want to say 20 years ago, right?
Exactly 20 years ago.
Yeah,
2002.
Yeah.
Post the big high tech bubble bursting at around July 2000. Pre-Iraq.
Yeah, post 9/11, pre-Iraq. Yeah. Because I remember I saw this in between my freshman and sophomore year of college. I think it was like that summer. I remember seeing it. Because I remember very little of the movie except for the family. I just remember I remember the basic premise, but I haven't seen it since then. So it's literally been 20 plus years I've seen this.
Yeah.
I told you don't have to watch it, but you should, dude. I've watched it 3 times. And the thing is, I like it because it's 90 minutes to the T. And it's
it's a very sharp, fast, technical, psychological thriller. Yeah. That's what's great about it. It's in the vein of old Hitchcock, where it's like, I'm going to tell a story. We're going to go point A, B, C, D. We're done.
Yeah. My feelings. Movie reminds me of that is if you guys remember the movie Red Eye when Wes Craven came back to horror.
Yes.
Yeah. Very boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
85-minute runtime. 85-minute runtime, man. You guys remember that era, 80s and 90s. It was like if you were action or horror, right? You got to tell your story in 100 minutes was the absolute limit, right? Absolute limit.
Especially horror. Yeah.
Especially horror.
Mm-hmm.
These movies now, you're like, why is this shit still going on? You start getting restless and think about it, because you guys know this in action horror. In any movie, right? You don't want to miss anything, but especially action horror. 90 minutes is that sweet spot where it's after you saw the trailer, right? You saw the trailers. Now the movie starts. So maybe you said 5 to 10 minutes of trailers, right? You sit down and you're like, okay. And the time it'll take you to ever get up and go, use the bathroom, the movie is able to tell the whole story. Credits roll. Now I can use the bathroom or refill my popcorn.
Yeah.
Movies now,
and you can shove in more screenings at a night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. You got more?
To the rest of the points. Robin Williams was such a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion. The 2 actual models that they show
are
his. Those are his. Nice. Actually, Minton, the Minton package is the one with Jack is the kid that he brings up the action figure to him. Yeah. And then also with the actual the full model when Sai has that delusion where he's the uncle in the house. It was Uncle Sai, can you help me build this? Those were actually Robin Williams from his own personal collection.
Wow. I wanted to ask you.
Loved anime. Because loved anime.
Drex, All My Feelings, A, knows how to talk Japanese. B, is a real big anime fan. The thing is, that's what I wanted to ask you, because I tried to look for it, and what I got was a very different picture, because I thought, well, maybe it's I got a newer thing, and it looked kind of oldish. That's a true anime, right? That's an existing anime.
Yeah.
Genesis? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not into it, so he's my guy when it comes to that.
Second point. One last note was Robin Williams was initially supposed to be cast to actually play Bill Owens, Gary Cole's character. But he had read the script multiple times afterward, and then he requested that Romanek actually, cast him as Sai instead, and Romanek correctly chose to cast him as Sai.
Yeah,
because I can't see him in the Bill Owens role whatsoever. We're going to get to how Bill Owens, Gary Cole, as an actor in itself, plays a spectacularly perfect asshole, because he did so also in Office Space.
He was the boss in Office Space as well. That's kind of too much of a we touch upon that a lot when it comes to casting and getting the right guy, and it's you're just casting the same dude at the same role.
Matt, do you think that's the unsung hero of all movies, movies in general, is the casting director? Because
yes,
how many movies have gotten ruined with Gangs of New York. Why was Cameron Diaz in that movie? Why was Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula? Like,
I've talked about this. That's the theory I had, and I think All My Feeling kind of shares it with me, because if you get the casting right, is good, but then you get a situation where you got Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds in a Ryan Reynolds movie. Take Deadpool, take whatever, and if it doesn't work, you get, I don't know, Hal Jordan in fucking,
Green Lantern.
That Green Lantern thing.
We don't talk about that.
The dichotomy.
That never happened.
That's a full podcast. But let's jump into it. And again, we don't cover the full breadth of the movie, even though All My Feelings wants to. But then we'll be here till 3:00 in the morning, at least for me.
Your
so
time,
we're
yes.
gonna get to. We're gonna bounce around. We're gonna go forward, backward, all that good stuff. The first scene is Cy in that room, kind of after the everything kind of went down, and he's being faced by Eric LaSalle. Just let your soul glow. Anyway, Dr. Benton. He's faced with Dr. Benton, and I was like, he is not believable as a detective.
Well, what's funny too is from the jump, you already have the narration from Cy, telling the story of and the importance of the family photo, and it's already keying into, like, you get this overtly at the end of the film, but from the beginning you can already tell that something really terrible happened to him. Yeah,
it's like we found them at the hotel, and this is the pictures, and he's like, "Can I take him?" And he's like, "No, that's evidence." Okay. And cut to, we're in the shop. There's a lot of not glory, but a lot of like procedural shots of him cutting the photos, getting ready, and then walks in, not Bridget Nielsen, the other Nielsen. Connie Nielsen.
Nina Yorkin.
Yeah, Nina Yorkin comes into the shop, and then he lights up. And from their first interaction, you see this is a creepy fucking dude. This right off the bat.
He looks it though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You guys remember when this movie came out, and you just, because remember, Robin Williams at this point, he had the first against type he played was in Good Will Hunting as the shrink.
Yeah.
This is now Robin as the victim. I mean, I will never forget, man, the first time we saw an image of him, I was like, oh, he looks fucking creepy, bro. Yeah. He looks creepy.
And what's really funny too, Drex, is that he, he dyed his hair, obviously, but he also shaved his entire body. Because Robin Williams, apparently, he's a naturally hairy dude.
Yeah, he's a.
Well, he joked about that in his comedy set.
He did.
Back in the day. Yeah,
he did. There's a bit where he puts his hand like this. Oh, this is this is how everybody looks at me as a woman. And it goes like this, It's from his.
That was on Broadway. 2002. Yep, summer 2002.
Bordering. Yeah.
He looks so fucking creepy. Let's do it.
Yes, he does. And he manages to get that creepy look when he looks, he looks into the camera, or when he looks it doesn't look away from the camera, like he looks behind the camera. Oh, it's something about those blue eyes, dude. It's something about those blue eyes. So we got an interaction with the wife, and then that super creepy interaction with the kid, where wait a minute.
Which too, it's like with Jake, it was with the birthday boy, and it shows him what the birthday boy gets, he gets a free camera, which obviously nope.
And by the way, Drex, if you haven't seen it, there's a point where he fills up the details, because nobody remembers film anymore. But when you went to the 1 hour photo, or when you get your things developed, you give the guy the rolls, and he puts them in the little envelope. And on the envelope, it's like, oh, what size you want this, and how many copies. Mm-hmm. And she's like 2, and you see him write down. It's super quick. It's like this much, and you missed it. He says he writes it at 3. He just adds a different thing.
Yep.
But the thing is, you're like, oh, this is fucking creepy. And then later on, you see why it's so creepy, but it catches on to him because the register doesn't balance, and that's how he gets caught.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, we're setting up just the creep show.
Yeah, because the next that really sets that whole point forward. That is right after this, when he's actually in that diner where he's looking at the photo, and he just flat out just offhandedly tells the waitress, "Yeah, that's my family. You know, I gave him a camera for his birthday. Oh, you must be his favorite uncle then." Like,
yes, and from there on in, it becomes ingrained, and he builds the story into his brain. Like, oh yeah, that's it, and it goes creepier. And
let me ask you this: do you think that when it comes to, like, we talk about mental health in this country and other countries and all this stuff, and I think that do you know what Robin Williams' character really is? He's really he's Travis Bickle in a different profession.
Hey, guess what? You nailed one of my future notes later. One of the major notes in the screenplay was it was supposed to be reminiscent of Taxi Driver.
Got it. Yep.
Good job.
If you look at the character, though, I remember, because you remember when we see Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. Okay, he's demonizing the people that he picks up, right? And he's like, this place is a cesspool, it's a shithole, right? Then at the same time, he projects himself into that, and like where he believes he fits in, right? Because Travis Bickle's not a good person. You know what I'm saying? He's not good. And yet in his mind, he idealizes himself again, which is against the backdrop of the urban landscape, right? A dilapidated, shitty landscape. I remember watching this movie, and the thing that stuck out about me was like if you think about it, this is almost like a play on his Mrs. Doubtfire role, where like he is part of the family who was pushed out. Now he's an outsider trying to get in. So he wants to get in by doing what? Fantasizing about, this is my role in the family. And that's creepy.
And this is why when I talked to you like backstage and I said, well, stop. Let's rewatching this after you was like, oh, why did Drex wanted to have this? And I was like, this fits with the narrative that you talk about on MGTOWN. Cy is the ultimate simp. Not in terms of going after thoughts or whatever. It's inserting it's not even an incel thing. It's more like a self-insert into someone's life. You're looking at someone's life. In this case, it's just photographs, because there's no streaming. There's no YouTube. There's no nothing. You insert your life into people you see in photos rather than people you see in your daily streams or whatever, or in podcasts.
So would you say that this is basically at this point it's like the ultimate parasocial relationship for him?
It is exactly. It's exactly those weird things that if you insert internet into the equation, you're like, oh, that's exactly the same.
So because if he were to
builds all his narrative in terms of how he lives his life, and at the end, I know it's jumping forward, but at the end, when there's a scene where he looks, you don't see him look at the photos, but you see the camera looking at all the photos and starting from the beginning, and he's like, oh shit, if these guys, if that family, the Yorkin family, would have gone on and made like a YouTube channel where they were vlogging through their life, there's a simp out there. There's an
I would say
self-insert into that and go at a certain point go crazy.
Because if you think about it,
you hear this? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Go. Oh, well, I was going to say, well, if you think about it, though, how many of those situations are occurring right now?
Yes.
We see it all the time.
Same thing.
Do you know what? Okay, this is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a couple things. One is, we're talking about, being the ultimate simp. Is this any different than these guys that you hear about who are paying OnlyFans thoughts, right?
Yes.
And then they imagine themselves or a sugar daddy, sugar baby. Have you guys been hearing some of these sugar babes that wound up getting sunsetted, right? You guys have been hearing that more and more, right? Do you guys wonder why that is? Guys like this, right? They have no life, no friends, no family. So they're total, like their energy, right? All the energy that they can invest in one day, in one lifetime, has to be where? It has to find an avenue, right? So in his avenue, it's photographs. It's like you said, if it were YouTube, okay, if this movie were taking place now, it was like, I don't know, like 1 hour stream, right?
Yeah.
He would be no different, right? The only difference is he wouldn't have that immediate access to his to the family, right?
Exactly. Now
it's streamed. So you have to go seek them at like a comic con.
Which in so many ways, it reminds me of actually a Robert De Niro film that was filmed like almost 12 years before it. Number One Fan.
Yes,
with Wesley Snipes. The fan with Wesley Snipes. Yeah.
That same outlet, but it's just a different turn.
Yeah. If you notice, he had the same mentality, which is it's this obsessive. Like when people become obsessive, you think about where does the obsession come from? To me, it's a byproduct of loneliness. Because think about it. Okay. Let's just say for the sake of argument, you have things to do, like watch this. You got to wake up, go to work. You got kids, you got family, you got friends, you got like interests and shit, right? You wouldn't have time to obsess on one thing. You see what I'm saying? Because you're being pulled in all these different directions. I want you guys, okay, watch this. So, Meth, take away all the things in your life that matter, right? Your wife, your family. You see that? Look at that face.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah. I say also, can you pause right there? I got a line for that.
That's now there's parts in this movie where you see just the family interacting. You see, there's one scene where the mother tucks away the son, and the son kind of casually says, "Oh, I think he's lonely." Who's lonely? Oh, it's Cy. Well, Cy, the photo guy. He's lonely. Why do you think he's lonely?
Why would you think that?
I don't know. He has that look. It's like, is that really happening? Or is that Cy, that Robin Williams' character, building that narrative in his mind as an unreliable narrator of the movie?
Now, that's an interesting point, but no, that actually just was a character aside, where it's just like, oh, well, Jake is just an empathetic kid. He just feels sorry for this guy who apparently he looks like he's lonely.
And like I said, it could be both, but
it could be both.
You know, all my feelings, and I love our unreliable narrators. We love it. It's like, is it really though? But is it not? Let's watch this thing again.
Well, so Matthew, then you have to go back and watch I'm Thinking of Ending Things again.
No, fuck
you. Thought not. What's funny is that there's the juxtaposition here, though, with Cy's apartment is how everything is white, beige, and the most bare bones as humanly possible. Except for, the wall of photos that is dedicated to the Yorkin family.
Yeah, and not only a wall of photos, it is literally, there's two spotlights. So it's not only does he have them displayed as a life happening from the left side to the right side, he's also, it's like a shrine. It's so creepy. It's like a shrine. But like I said, if you take everything like this and you digitize it into the internet, it's a guy that has a vlogging family, and just he's living their life. And it would sometimes inserting himself, and
it would be the same thing.
You can insert yourself. Yeah, you can insert yourself either doing the comments, or if they're streaming, you're on the chat. You're doing super chats, or if you're on Twitch, you're doing like donations and gifting subs and all that stuff, just to insert yourself into their life.
Well, it also would be him just going home, and then at the end of the day, currently going back and rewatching a stream.
Yeah. Actually, let me ask you this. Which one? So, my feelings. Which one do you think would be creepier? A person looking at still images, right, and projecting himself in it, or someone, like you said, let's say they sound like this, right? and now they're like rewatching the same stream, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which one do you think is creepier? Do you think it's the audio visual, or do you just think it's just like the whole visual of just still image?
Well, to be fair, it's varying degrees of creepy. Well, and it would all depend on the context as well. Like, had it just been someone having just a conversation and that was their entire stream, that would be a little bit different than say it was an interesting, like a Joe Rogan podcast or a comedy podcast where you're like, that's a really funny bit, I want to go back and watch that. The varying degrees there. But let's say on space level, it's the same kind of just false narrative parasocial relationship that we've been discussing. I would really think the shrine building on still images would still have to be the most creepy, for a lack of a better term, because that would require severe effort on behalf of the individual attempting to build up that relationship.
It's more tactile because you can touch it. You know, if you had a sculpture, a sculpture, let's say Amaranth, okay? Interacting with Amaranth on stream is a way different thing than having a fucking bust, a clay bust of Amaranth in your house, and you have two spotlights looking like shining on it. It's a completely different, situation, right? But it's the same.
Do you know what this movie highlights though? Because I remember when I first saw it, one of the things that always struck me, which is why I want to come on, is that two things. One, okay. We've all been in a workplace or like a school environment. We all were, we keep hearing about these guys whose, their brains, these MK Ultra babies, brains are going crazy. They're doing insane stuff, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at it, do you ever ask yourself, what does this person do when they go home? And do you ever go like this? Like you shudder to think about it. You ever in that situation? Like there's certain people that you've worked with, right? You you look at the way they interact because they lack social intelligence. They are, they're weird or they're creepy, or like let's face it. One look at Robin Williams with that blonde hair, I look at myself as a tough dude. He would give me the creeps. Like I walk in like this guy. Something about this dude, it's triggering me. He's creeping me out. You see what I'm saying? And then if someone goes, well, Drex, he invited you over for drinks or he invited you to a barbecue, like nah. Something is, you see what I'm saying? Like you imagine, like if you had a hidden camera in certain people's houses, right? Mm-hmm. Deep down, if any of us met a character like this, right? We would take one look and be like, that's why we shudder. That's why we go, because we know something's off.
Dude, I've worked with that guy, not that particular guy, but a guy that gives me the creeps for almost 11 years at my current job. And like, all my feelings have seen him. He's a creepy motherfucking dude in person. Like, add in alcohol, add in a lot of different things. Let's just say this. I've suffered enough. He's gone now, by the way. Yeah. All right.
When it comes to side, though, it's a stare through, though, right? When people stare through you,
yeah,
you can't help it.
Yeah.
I think that, do you know? I'll tell you what this character reminds me of. And I think you guys would really love this show if you haven't already seen it. Have either of you seen Worst Roommate Ever?
Yes.
I've heard about it, never seen it.
Oh, my goodness. You know exactly whose side reminds you of, don't you? The Asian guy, right? Mm-hmm. The Asian dude. The Asian dude is like the family like this. But he seems so lonely. Your roommate. Let's invite him into the family and family gathering. See, only this time.
I can already see it in my mind.
You already know what would happen, right? A guy like this, because they are delusional, you already know where it's going, right? He thinks I can shoot my shot with this woman, right? Because she's attractive. She was if I recall, she was a military veteran, right? So it wasn't like she was something like, she wasn't a tough chick. She could handle herself, right? When you are around an actual creep, right? An actual creep, they're not going to attack you. Because guys like this don't attack women head on. You see what I'm saying? They wait till you're asleep. Like, you've been around guys like this. You think a guy like this is like a weasel is gonna he doesn't have the brawn to just go right at you, right? He's gonna poison you. He's gonna drug you. He's gonna do something to even the odds so that he's in control.
Yeah, and see that actually goes back to the methodology, and it goes back like if you want to go talk about even sociopathy and even on what they call the dark triad of psychopathic behavior.
Yep.
They always have that same kind of unnerving sense about them, but they're just off-putting enough, but not too off-putting. And they seem like congenial and nice enough. That's always the thing that they always say. I can't believe he did that. He was such a nice guy.
Jeffrey Dahmer was so nice.
No, when you consider his relationship with the guy he works with, is it Yoshi?
Yoshi, yeah.
Yeah. The guy who works when Robin Williams gets fired later on in the movie, Yoshi's like, "Oh, I've learned a lot from you. You're a great guy." It's like, "Oh, there's someone out there that thinks that Psy is like normal." Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's how they're maintaining, and that's how they're functioning through society.
Well, then also in Nina and Jake, skipping forward too, is that last bit where they're going in to develop the camera that Jake got from Psy.
Yeah,
they're having that interaction there where they're friendly to him. That they don't see him as a threat whatsoever. It's like, oh, he's a little weird, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This is a part of the show where we stop everything and we go into our first segment to bring a little bit of levity into the show. The name is Missing Marquee. All right. Missing Marquee for the uninitiated and for Drex. This is the point where we put up 10 posters of movies that have their text written off, and our guest Drex will guess which movie this is. By the way, all my feelings, all the 50 podcasts, all the 49 podcasts we've done, I've taken everything, shuffled it, and just blurted out another 50.
Okay.
Just in case. So stuff will come up that you remember. So let's do this. Let's put us down there. Go ahead, Drex. Oh, by the way, the chat, we've got a little bit of, like, not a lot of people, but chat is more than welcome to jump in and say their piece. Go ahead, Drex.
I remember what the hell this is. Shit.
Good fucking movie. 1979. I know you know my feelings. I know.
I'm stumped. It's got to be a B movie, though.
No, not really.
Well,
let's just say
it's kind of a B movie, but then its sequel was
from Australia, and it kind of produced
It
is Mad Max.
No, original. No bullshit. I was thinking Mad Max. I'm like, no,
just say it. This original Mad Max.
Wait, Schwarzenegger was in a movie with fucking Belushi?
Oh, if you haven't seen this movie, this is a quintessential 80s movie.
I thought I saw every.
Russia
I saw every
versus the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, is this? Hold on.
Oh, don't Google it.
No, I'm not cheating. There was Commando. I'm remembering all my Arnold movies. Hercules in New York, Conan.
This is 1 or 2 after Commando. I think, if I remember correctly.
How did I miss this?
It's not Commando. It's not Commando.
No, it's not Commando because Schwarzenegger, he was fighting the other guy. This is the one movie. I didn't even see it because I don't ever remember Schwarzenegger being in a movie with.
Dude, if you haven't seen this is called Red Heat. It's sort of a buddy cop movie style Rush Hour, but instead of Chinese and American, you get the wise ass American and a Russian played by Schwarzenegger. Dude, 86 minutes of pure stupidity of the 80s and random titties. So,
that's something that's missing in movies. Oh, yeah, that's Snatch. I saw that opening night.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
I remember that. Oh, that's is it The Gambler?
Not The Gambler.
Not
The Hustler.
It's
not the
something.
It is the actually.
Yeah, I remember because he's the hot shot. Fuck
yeah.
I remember it's the something. It's not The Hustler.
Not The Hustler.
The shit.
It's the sequel to The Hustler. Technically,
it's the sequel to The Hustler.
God damn it! And I know it too.
It's so easy. You know this movie.
It's so easy. Yeah, because I remember. Cruz and Newton. Oh shit! And Newman. I've been saying.
It has the best Werewolves of London song sequence where he goes all hotshot with his new balabushka and is ruining. No, never mind. Jeez, I know this movie so.
It's simple. It's the something.
It's the color of money.
Color. Unreal. Oh yeah, American History X.
American History X.
Poor Eddie Furlong. Oh, everybody remembers Beverly Hills Cop, of course. That's easy.
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah, our man, Axel Foley.
Axel Foley.
Oh shit, that's the movie. That was called. Hold on, I remember this one. No, that's Simon Says. Wait a minute. I remember this era. This was the Rodman era.
That's the Rodman era. That's the
double team.
Double team, correct.
Double
sir.
team. Yep. Oh yeah, there's Hook.
Hook.
Yeah.
Almost was actually in for this month.
Oh, that's Hot Shots.
And Hot Shots. That'll be our 10.
Was that part 2 right there?
That is the first one. No,
the first one. Okay.
Part 2 is the one where you see him.
Yeah.
I do. Oh man.
Oh man. So
can't have those parodies anymore.
Before we move on,
right.
Yeah,
moving on.
So just on that last note, in that scene where he's sitting there watching TV, he's watching The Simpsons. He's watching actually the episode Cape Fear.
Yes.
Oh.
I recognize that.
And you notice that the line that they say in that, he goes, "Oh yeah, it's always who's going to come after you is always the person you least expect."
Yep.
From The Simpsons. And
From The Simpsons.
So apropos in the context of the film.
They done such a great job with this movie. It is insane. The only thing I couldn't pick up is the movie at the end. I could not get any information what movie that was. We'll get to that.
We'll talk about that. The next one is then Sai's talking about his cadre of customers, the different ones that come in.
Yeah,
and the fun note about that is the woman that he mentions, like, she only takes pictures of cats, right?
Yeah.
All the pictures of cats were shown in the film were the cast and crew's pets. Photos of their pets. They wanted to make it a little more natural, so they didn't have like trained animals on set.
One of the people he when he goes into that spiel where he says, all the people that are different people coming in to develop the thing, the guy who takes porn pictures,
it's Jim Rash. That's fucking hilarious.
The guy is the headmaster from Community.
He's the dean.
Where is it? Let me see.
That also they mentions that he does mention side of like we do have to do turn in. Yeah, he's very young there. We have to turn in people as long as it's not child pornography or it's animal abuse, we just develop it and let it go.
Yep. The
child thing is going to come up later.
Yes. I'm gonna skip ahead. There's what I'm skipping is there's an interaction with the guy who does the technician. There's a going back and forth because that kind of gives you how crazy Sai is when it comes to being like meticulous, and it kind of builds up the psychopath narrative. And of course, his boss Gary Cole brings it up, and he sits with him in his lunch. And at the end of the lunch, is like, "Why are you taking an hour and a half lunch?"
Yep.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back into why he gets fired at the end, but he brings it up and is like, why are you taking an hour and a half lunch?
Well, giving away free shit, right? Because what's the boy? Is it
Jake?
Jake. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So I remember. So because he gave Jake the camera, right? He gives him the gift.
Yep.
The little disposable camera. And think about this though. By modern standards, a lot of the things that, first of all, his job wouldn't be the same. Like I said, he'd be more of like a video editor by modern standards, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say
at best. But one of the things that always struck me, because I do remember this part of the movie when I first saw that caught me off guard. It's how creeps get into your life. Remember that old saying in vampire movies? They would say you have to invite evil in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
Do you remember Nina actually makes the horrible mistake of entertaining Sai's bullshit with the book, right? he forces his conversation
in.
You see what I'm saying? Because watch this. Okay, like how many guys do you guys know knew about 50 Shades of Grey, right?
This is the before they meet.
Yep.
It just sets everything up to a little bit later where he casually meets her and he casually whips out that book.
Yep.
And Deepak Chopra, 2002, it's before he got outed as a mega scammer, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's at, the bestseller. He's giving you life advice and all that stuff.
Drexel, like being called out as a scammer, just like that guy who wrote that 1,000 Little Pieces. Remember that piece of shit?
1,000 Little Pieces? Which one was that?
Or like 1,000,000 Little Threads or something like that. He went on Oprah, like claiming about like how he had that massive drug addiction. He went through rehab. He wrote that novel, and it was all bullshit.
Oh, wait, who was this guy? I'm trying to remember. Maybe
I've never heard of the guy. I know that
I mean, like that story you just said. The name of the book kind of like vaguely rings a bell. Like, Well, do you remember the guy's name? What shit?
No, I can look it up real quick.
Jamie, pull it up. Never mind.
Let me see.
So before we get to that kind of point, we get that creepy. There's an interaction with the boss, and then
his overlay when he does that entire spiel where he is it was right after this. Dan, never mind. Go ahead.
We'll keep going. We can't, dude. This movie has a lot of like very, very short scenes of like telling you a story that builds up Robin Williams as a creepy fucking dude, but it's like very short scenes. So there's the scene with the copy guy, there's the scene with the boss, and then there's a scene here where I'm meeting you in the flesh, and the guy doesn't know who the fuck Sai is.
Yes, yeah.
Who doesn't know who he is because Sai knows him only from the photos. He constructed everything in his head.
Yeah. Well, that, and also he mentions, they also had got the picture from that because Sai took that last picture of himself on the last reel. You're Sai. Oh, you're the photo guy. You're Sai, the photo guy. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
That's when Jake runs up to him and shows him that box toy that was Robin Williams. And I'm sure he told the kid, like, if you break that thing open, you'll never work again.
I don't think Robin Williams is that kind of dude, but okay.
Well, he was super into his collectibles, obviously. So
definitely
just
maybe.
Making a joke.
Definitely maybe.
After that, Sai has that very unique little monologue where he goes to the crux of, or the most pinnacle point of it, where he says,
"He's so creepy.
Everything about a photo is, it tells the world I existed, I was here, I was happy, and someone cared enough about me to take a photo of me."
And he also, in that monologue, he says, nobody takes a picture where you're not smiling. Everybody's so happy in photos. You never ever see people sad or like not at their best. Everything is at their best and happy.
Beth, I gotta say this though. I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, the crux of the matter is that's only what he says. There's plenty of people who got their picture taken that not at their best, but those are pictures that you don't want to remember. Mm-hmm. The points of it's like nostalgia. You like to see the world as it was 20 years ago with rose tinted glasses and happy memories. That's what we remember. We remember those happy memories. We don't want to remember those sad things. So we push that away. Mm-hmm. We push that away. That's why most people save their, smiling ones.
Smiling picture, or like, what it reminds me of? Modern day, we edit those out, or we just delete it, right? Take a picture. Oh, I don't like that picture. Like, women are notorious for this, right? My face looks big in that one. My nose looks big, and they no, delete. The reason why I think this is important within the context of this movie, though, is that I want you to consider this for a second. If Sai is going to go ahead and he idealizes everything, right? Everything is idealized in his mind, right? His own delusion. Now, when you look at a photo, especially back then, because let's face it, everyone posed for a photo, right? I want you to consider this for a second. What is a pose? A pose is putting on your best face, right? You go ahead. All right. The brother you were just fighting with, right? You're fighting with them. Stop fighting. Pose with this damn picture.
Right? Deuces.
Yeah. Okay, so goes Drex. Why is that important? Here's why that's so important. When you have a delusional mind like his, he viewed the family as perfect. But outside of those pictures, when you go like this, pose, outside of that, what happens? He finds out our boy's having an affair and shit, right?
Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you know what this reminds me of? Oh, my feelings, you know about this. When people look at YouTube celebrities in general, right? YouTube stars, celebrities, online people, right? Oh my God, their relationship is so perfect. That's why they call it doing it for the gram. You see what I'm saying? Is that any different than what people do now? Like you guys have seen these couples, right? They look so happy. They're on a yacht. They're blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, done. What happened? Right? What do you mean there was infidelity? What do you mean that there was a love child and he was miserable and she was taking pills? See, because when we look at life through just pictures, because remember, in terms of like the video world, it's only what we post, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example. JD and AH, right? Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Of course.
Let's be honest. On the outside looking in, remember, if there was no tabloids reporting, the only time we see these people is out on the red carpet, right?
Yep. Everything's happy.
Everything's
Makeup
happy.
On,
Will Smith
smiling,
and Jada.
Pose for the camera.
Oh, yeah. Will Smith and Jada is that's the big one.
Oh, they've been miserable for how many years? They're so happy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're Hollywood royalty. No prenup. Oh, it's great. And all of a sudden, all of the shit is starting to come out now, right? Yeah. Similar to what, remember, and now, if you're someone like Cy, if you want to get in on that, what do? Is this any different than paparazzi? You follow them in their private life, right? Mm-hmm. And when you find dirt, you attack it because he wants to be in that position. He wants to be the mister. You see what I'm saying? That's why, think about this. How do you have people pose in sexual positions, right? Think about how insane that is. Yeah. Right? You hold someone at night point. If you guys just like really think about how insane that is, right? You find out someone you know is having an affair. You can't just leave it at that, or even if you go tell somebody, right? You have to go over the top. Get naked. They strip off. Now do these poses. You see how insane that is? That's insane.
It starts with this whole scene.
Yes.
Where you're like, how the hell?
Great screen grab, by the way.
I was literally just thinking that.
I genuinely thought this bit was funny because this is the most personal thing you can do at someone else's house. Yeah. Right? He went into Jake's room and he went to their room, and you see, it's a tiny little sliver of the movie, but it tells you a whole lot about the whole fucking scene.
It's side note. This reminds me so much, specifically this going in and obviously taking a shit there. It reminds me of this is a really, really bad movie. Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis and Sean William Scott. A movie called Cop Out, right? Sean William Scott was a burglar, and what he did was the last thing he would do is he would take his shit in their house. It was like, by the way, that's stupid as fuck because you're leaving actual DNA evidence. That's so stupid. Why would you do that? But he goes, no, because that's the most personal thing I could do to insult them.
Might as well be the wet bandits.
But also
the wet bandits,
it's a sign of comfort because think of it like this.
Yeah.
You remember in Pulp Fiction, when I was a kid, I didn't understand why Vincent was taking a shit, right? And I'm like, because remember, okay, when you're a kid watching that movie, you're like, wait a minute, why is he sitting here taking a shit and he gets just shot up, right? Like, that was shocking to me, right? As I got older and I rewatched Pulp Fiction, it made sense. Marcellus was coming back with donuts. Remember? Because Bruce Willis, Butch drives up and sees him carrying a box of donuts, right? So they went to Butch's place. This motherfucker ain't here. Let's wait for him or something. I'll go get something to eat. Right? Goes and gets the donuts. Because why else would big ass Marcellus walk around with a pink box? He's going to see Vincent. And then what happens? Marcellus looks, sees Butch.
You motherfucker!
And then pulls out the candy. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, there's a sense of comfort there. And here's the big thing. Notice what people do. Our man Cy is smiling, taking his shit. And like, I'm content. What was Vincent Vega doing? Reading a comic, right?
No, he was reading that same book that he was reading actually previously. Well, technically previously, but it's at the end of it in the diner when he's actually, oddly enough, taking his shit.
Yeah, right? And he's like, so, like, dude, here's what bothers me. Kids, this is what's funny about kids. Kids are simultaneously perceptive and naive, right? They can sense that you're lonely, yet they don't sense that you're a threat. You see what I'm saying? Whereas an adult is the opposite. An adult doesn't necessarily sense that you're lonely or something like that. They just look at you as a threat, right? Like something about you is off. Kids, that's why I think about it. The whole like, don't take candy from a stranger, right? To a kid, remember, kids don't understand. They don't comprehend evil, right? Yeah. So that's why they will. I mean, a kid will allow a gargoyle into the house, right? If the gargoyle is nice to them. Whoa, you're scary. Don't be afraid. I'm a nice gargoyle. Oh, well, you said you're nice. Come on in.
Well, and to that point, it's right after this where they have the grand illusion of Cy, where you're like, oh, I thought you were going to go out today. No.
The thing is,
it shows him then after that at Jake's soccer practice, and when he's the only one in the stands and he's applauding for Jake, and the coach is like, something's not right about you. Yes. And when Jake goes up to him, he goes, Jake, are you okay? And Jake goes back to the coach. No, I'm fine.
Yeah. And they have that sequence where they literally, you get a little bit of why Cy's like that, because he tells Jake, when I was a kid, I was bound because I fell. I had my sling and my arm in a sling, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh yeah, that's like the most typical child alone at the house, guarding parents type deal. I was like, yeah, I know where the steps lead to get you to where you are right now.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. If Jake, and this is another interpretation of that scene. If a couple of things happen to Jake, right? Like, watch this. His parents break up, right? Due to the affair. Let's say he doesn't meet Cy, right? But Nina finds out about the affair, right? His parents split. Let's say a couple of things happen. Jake could become Cy. You see what I'm saying? Think about it. Yep. It's not that big of a difference between, think about it. You guys remember the movie Unbreakable, right? Remember Mr. Glass?
Of course.
Do you remember how same thing, right? Arm in a sling, right? And then what happens? By being alone so long, your mind starts to twist, right? You become more and more twisted because you need, without having that social, especially as a child, right? Without that social interaction, ribbing from your buddies, having genuine connection. If you notice, Mr. Glass had no actual connections in his life, right? Mm-hmm. He had business arrangements, partnerships, but he had no real friends. So what did he do? He obsessed over
David
comic
Dunn,
books. Right?
Yeah,
on comics, and then of course finding his opposite, right?
Yeah.
Same thing here. Look at dude. Think about this for a second. If you saw a man in a stands clapping and pointing like,
that's red flags all over
himself.
The place.
Yeah, it's
everybody, like dude, everybody.
Dude, sorry.
Nope.
Well, especially had he actually had been his uncle, it would have been a completely different set of circumstances. Like, no, that's the guy that works at the photo booth who processes my photos.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's time to call the cops.
It's time to call the cops. My feelings, you're right. Okay, if you say that's my dad, people go like this. Oh, supportive dad. That's my uncle. It's so nice that your uncle's in your life and he's cheering you on.
Hey, he's supportive of me too, yeah.
Even if you said that, even if you said like my dad's friend, people kind of be like,
or my neighbor who's going to take me home from soccer practice. Well, he's at least encouraging the kid. He's doing his neighbor a favor. That's fine. But it's just like, nope, some guy that you randomly know who developed the photographs.
And that kind of goes. And you know what that illustrates? That illustrates our hierarchy, right? In relationships. Because meth, if you walk in on certain situations in your life based on what the perceived relationship is with that person, you'll allow certain things to go. It's the same reason why I think you guys remember that show called Taxi Cab Confessions.
Yes.
Remember that show?
Yes.
Oh, God.
You remember how the reason why people were so open and honest is because they don't believe they're ever going to see this person again, right?
Yep.
Yes.
See, there's a hierarchy. Ironically, when it comes to confessing something, people are more apt to confess to a stranger than someone they know. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
It's the opposite.
The thing is, me and All My Feelings had like personal stuff. I told him all the while, I think that if you can find a person, a friend or whatever that doesn't judge you, you can divulge a lot of like deep personal things that technically you should like go to a therapist and do that. It's the same thing. That guy's a stranger, but this time, if that friend will not judge you, you can unload a lot of your baggage, and it will help you be better. But finding that person that won't judge you and still be your friend, that's hard to find. That's really hard to find. The thing I put up on the screen, the thing I put up on the screen is just to keep the story going, is the whole interaction with the wife, like we said, with, oh, you're reading the same book. But I want to go 2 steps back, where you realize the whole point of him being in the house is completely fabricated, where he's sitting. You talked about comfort, where he's sitting around having a beer and a hoodie, and he's like, oh shit, they're coming. Oh, hi, Uncle Si. And says like, oh, that's totally in his fucking head.
Yep.
Well, the get-go, it should have been as a false narration from the get-go, because the fact that they had a picture of Cy on the goddamn refrigerator. Yeah. It's like, why would they have a picture of this random dude, especially since the husband has never had any personal interaction with the guy whatsoever? They would have not put his photo up there.
And of course, after the interaction he has with Nina, there's a whole point where he goes and deals with the shit from the photomat, and then he gets called into the office, and he's faced with his boss telling him, look, it's not only that you take an hour and a half breaks.
Yeah.
It's the fact that there's like
a click counter where it's like you've stolen hundreds of photos from us. And it all goes back to originally what you said, Beth, before, how she ordered 2 prints, he wrote down 3, but only charged her for 2 and took one of those prints for himself. Because he's been keeping that catalog of their entire lives.
The only thing that popped in my head that was like, oh, it's with the character, you would think he'd be annoyed, give a little bit of more like excuses and everything. But the thing that ticks him off and goes crazy is like, oh, and you probably fudged a bunch of, made a bunch of different fucking copies.
No, he says, well, don't you do something stupid and mess up the rest of the copies. I have never fucked up a customer's prints in the 11 years that I've worked here. Because he's proud. Deep down, he's deeply proud of what he does.
That's what I was going for. It's like, oh, those things that you've done, that's nothing. But if you fuck us in the next 2 weeks that you're here, like, oh, I'll never fuck up. It's down to his like meticulous nature. And again, we're 40 minutes into this, and all we know is at the end, he's get caught by the police. We know he's creepy. We know everything is wrong. And this is like after he this is before he discovers about the affair.
Yeah, so he had technically in the interim there, he had met Maya once, that girl, because she comes up and asks for their photos to be printed, and he didn't actually see any of the photos.
This is where he discovers it. It's 5 minutes later.
Yeah, but One note I did want to go back to real quick was the one line from Deepak Chopra that he does mention, which is really pertinent to his character, is the fact that he tells Nina, he goes, "Oh, what I find really funny about this book and really interesting is this one line where it says the things we fear most have already happened to us," and for Sai, that is 100% true.
Yep.
I think he's a victim of kitty diddling.
Yeah.
It's clearly implied. Like I remember even when I watched this, it's the reason why I made that comment about Sai and Jake. It's like I think that he's literally like, I mean, that was always the Joker's main thing, right? Everybody's one bad day away from becoming what he is. I mean, he's kind of right though, right? Sometimes it may not be a bad day, but just like bad circumstances. Let's just say for the sake of argument, Sai was put into a position of child exploitation, right? Imagine what that shame does to you, and then the isolation and all this. You would start to interject and project yourselves into someone else's life to try to as a cope, right? It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah. Well,
it's better than ruining your face with a bunch of plastic surgery like Michael did.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say though, on that point too, think about how Maya reacted to the assault afterward. They find her in the tub by herself.
Yeah.
Shaking. Is she going to experience the same kind of trauma that Sai went through?
And
again,
it's all projection.
It's a concept of the cycle of abuse.
Remember that
it is a cycle.
It's all projection. The attack at the end might not have happened when at the very end, when actually the cop, Dr. Benton, Eric LaSalle, anyway, when
it's Detective Vanderlee.
He actually gives him the pictures. He puts them all in front of him. None of them are from the attack.
Yes, but you notice
it's
as well.
A picture from inside his room of various things. You don't get to see the pictures from the attack because he may not have taken them.
Because he didn't take them. There was no film in the camera. He was just operating with a flash going off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where he discovers the thing, right? Yep. And
this is on top of the fact that he got fired.
Yeah. And then when Nina comes to pick up the film, he gives her the photos plus the extra photos from the adulteress.
Yep.
And that's for him to trigger, the dad becomes the bad guy. I want to save Nina and Jake. I'm going to put that in so they'll get a divorce and they'll be away from that bad man who betrays this family, my family.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is kind of going what you're saying, like as being the ultimate simp, because like he's like you said, he's simping for basically
he's simping for Nina.
For a fictitious reality, for access to Nina, right? Like, for Nielsen.
Well, I think really it's more the family though. Like he is not really into her. It's not a sexual kind of thing. It's more of just that interpersonal connection that he wants. He wants to have that family that he never had.
Do you think that's more similar to like the OnlyFans guy? Because like I always ask this question. I was like this: what does a guy get? I had this talk with Dollhouse Phil. I said, what is it? I go, what is it with these guys? What is it that these guys get from sending money to Amaranth or whatever? And he said, Drex, I think that these guys are so desperate for like attention and validation, all that stuff. Like any form of feedback is like, oh my God, this is my world. So it kind of makes sense. He just wants like you said, he just wants like the connection, like just not I said, not even sexual, like just a connection in life.
Yeah, it comes from the core of being lonely. It starts there. Whether or not you've been fucking molested, not molested, being an only child, not being able to have any social interaction, the core starts from loneliness and then it builds up. It builds up.
And I think more than anything, too, Drax, at that point, that's more, this kind of interaction is more akin to those who spend money on streamers that are like, oh, this streamer, he's not a streamer, he's my friend.
Yeah. And
people like that. People that, oh my God, it's been 5 minutes. I have to donate $5. So they'll say my name again.
It's not coming from a sexual thing. It's not a sexual thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the recognition to know you matter, to know.
Yeah. Well, does that go back to his whole notion of pictures? That like it means that you mattered, right?
It means that you matter.
In his, okay, think of it like this though, from his perspective, in his day-to-day life, no one takes pictures of him, right?
Exactly.
No, like, literally nobody. Like, why would they, right? Like, go ask a little kid, right? Especially now that all of us have camera phones. Ask any little kid how often they are out playing around doing silly stuff, and adults are always capturing moments, right? Always recording or taking a picture. So kids know they matter. You see what I'm saying? Kids have this thing like, oh yeah, my parents care about me. I have people in my life, so that they're aware. Imagine if you remove all of that. Right.
Well, and also imagine like your only connotation that you have then is on the polar opposite, where you were being forced Cy was a child
on camera all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the
Drew
worst
Barrymore
way possible,
style,
the worst way possible. So it's
like you're doing some CP stuff. So
so
that would cause you to be. I mean, it would cause you to be all whacked out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, ugh.
And the thing is, he plants the picture, and he expects explosion, and he stalks Nina and Jake coming back to the house, and he expects confrontation.
The same outrage that he had because I was betrayed, she was betrayed. She should feel like I do. She should be furious, and she sees them eating, and what is the words that he mouths? What the fuck
What's wrong with these people? As if they're supposed to have his reaction. And when he doesn't get it, it's like, what's wrong with these people?
Or as if, Nina just found out her husband is having an affair and she's supposed to just go, yep, divorce. Life's a little bit more complicated, side.
Yep.
So he goes back to the house, and then he has the meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
And he watches this. Now, please tell me which movie this is, because this is not Planet 9 from Outer Space.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. I actually don't know what this film is. I think it might be a clip from the original The Day the Earth Stood Still.
I thought as much, but it's not.
It's not? Okay, then I am not sure what it is.
I thought so, because it came up during one of our segments, and I was like, okay, could be Planet 9, could be When the Earth Stood Still. Doesn't fit. All right.
The only thing I can think of is like, it's one of the old films that Mystery Science Theater 3000 did not make fun of.
Might be. It might be.
What a great time.
Yeah. And there we have it. He's outraged. He is completely outraged, completely melted down, and he springs into action where he just starts it's up till now. There's an hour setup, right? There's an hour setup, and now we have the break, and now everything in the movie is fast forward. It literally is. He's coming to some sort of I need to work things out. And he does it. He literally goes. He takes all the pictures. He goes to his old place and makes a
what's important though too is when he's leaving the Save Mart, there is that swelling score note.
Yeah,
there's the drop dead beat there where I'm like, had this been the Trent Reznor score, I'm like, it would have been way better. I already know it would have been.
It literally is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's my 7th point in my notes. I never take notes ever.
So, but
the one thing I put down is the score.
Yeah.
Up till now, is still the same score. That creepy little score, but it's very it's at like a dB -5.
Yeah.
We're coming to the resolution, it goes another DB, another DB, another DB, another DB.
But as he was actually leaving, remember, he stops at the whole parlor shop where I don't know how he had keys. He had keys for it. He didn't break into it.
Yeah.
And he steals the knife, and it was like, well, I guess consider it a retirement gift.
Well, all of these guys are basically cast in the same light. You said earlier, you talk about Cape Fear. Do you guys notice that all of these types of people, and you see these people in our society in real life, they're basically, you ever notice there's a common thread, right? We got Cape Fear, De Niro's character in The Fan. We've got, remember the talented Mr. Ripley, right? Do you guys notice they all have the same?
And that's a good movie too.
You notice they all have that same, like they see somebody that they idolize, and you think about how dangerous it is. And I think we actually see this from the other side, right? From let's say the celebrity side, where you can tell some celebrities are very uneasy around people who are like worshiping them. You see what I'm saying? Some of them like behavior, they bask in it, but some people are just kind of like, yeah, man, you're kind of creeping me out because like I'm not perfect. I'm just another person. Like I just I have this talent. I can sing, I can dance, I can act, and I get paid lots of money, and that's why cameras are on me. But it's like, some of them are real people, and it's they aren't like just complete douchebags yet. And do you guys notice when their facade, the facade that they've created in their mind that is perfection, it's like you said about like an amaranth bust, right?
Yeah.
As soon as amaranth does something this person doesn't like, and actually, I'll tell you what's the flip side in the modern era. It's these Twitch thoughts and e-thoughts who have boyfriends. You guys ever notice they always
when they don't divulge when there's a boyfriend, and suddenly when they do, because it slips up or somebody discovers it, puts a YouTube video on it, it's like those guys are like so irate, so outraged.
Yeah.
Like,
they had the same meltdown that he had. Think about the nature of their meltdown, right? They feel betrayed. Because in their world, the only thing they've got is this one thing, right? When Cy discovers the affair, he expects a reaction because, like, if that happened to him with his one thing, he would have a meltdown, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to take action. So it's all projection. The whole thing is projection. Like, dude, when these guys find out that Amaranth they had a man, here's my question to all the guys who donate to her, right? Where did you think you fit in? You thought she was going to marry you?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, what were you expecting? And so you look at someone like Cy, right? You got to ask yourself this. What did you think was going to happen? But we know what he thought was going to happen. He's going to be able to push someone out of the way and just kind of slither in. And now that's his delusion. But they really do believe this, though. These guys actually believe that this single white female. Remember that? Same thing, right?
Same thing with single white female. But on the side.
Yep, on the opposite side, right? Like, dude, this is why, I've always said, man, this is why these people scare me, right? Because
you never know. They're
that unpredictable. Like, here's the thing. They're in your regular life. You don't meet someone like Cy. You can meet somebody that, you tend to know where you stand with them, right? Whether you guys are cool, whether you're not cool. If someone asks you, and that goes back to what you said about the Simpsons reference, right? It's the person you would never suspect. There are people out there where because you don't suspect them, what is the flip side of that? You don't prepare for them, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have a wall up. There's no guards up. There's no moat. It's just, so these people, if you notice, they always have access to you, right? Yeah. They have access. They have knowledge and access to you. Dude, that is a terrifying thought, which is why once he has his meltdown, the reason why that's terrifying us as an audience is, here's the thing. We don't know what he's capable of, right? Exactly. As an audience.
Because all we know is that, oh shit, he just took a knife. And then it kind of escalates because it literally almost immediately kind of involves the police where you see the detective.
It goes to Meth is his monologue about the snapshot where he's sitting out there and how it was an old English hunting term that was utilized by a lord at the time, where a snapshot was he was killing, he was out, I think it was hunting pheasant. But what he was doing, he was actually taking the time not to aim, just literally turning around and shooting. So the snapshot is a hunting term. Yep. While he's taking all those photos of his former manager's child.
and then literally leaving it for him to discover.
Yeah.
So he on the back end.
To your point, Drex, that's what makes sense.
He wants people to know what's happening. At that point where he breaks, it's open season because you see there's where they involve the detective, and then they send a unit to his house, and then of course
the entire wall has all of Will's faces scratched out.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yep.
Yeah,
because how dare you shatter my idealized version of you, right?
Yep.
And
I've lived with you for so many years.
How could you do this to me? And it's never that way from the other side, which is why when I said with "Oh My Feelings," because he saw worst roommate ever. That's what makes it so scary, man. Because remember, what the one side thinks and what the other person's reality is are two different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Once you get even an inkling, do you remember? And you saw that series. Do you notice when the woman who had the Asian roommate dude? Once she just got an inkling that this guy was off, you remember she called 911, right? She's like, "I'm fucking scared," because someone like this, he was doing things that were so far out of like normal human behavior. Like he was getting it was the facial surgeries. That's creepy. Someone like Sai, dude, imagine being a detective and you see a wall of pictures, right? Wouldn't you think about it? Remember, if someone asked you, "Hey, Meth, if you're a detective, what's creepier and scarier to you? A crime scene where now you're, a crime has happened, you're picking up the pieces, right? How do we know? Let's get forensics in here. Does that creep you out more, or does two fucking lights on a wall of pictures creep you out more?"
That's much more. Think about this. What happens if you walk into the same scene, but just one picture is left? Not even the head scratched over. One picture is left, but the entire wall just had a whole bunch of pictures in it, but they were taken down and left with one, and you have those two spotlights. Mm-hmm. Imagine how more, your mind will race because your mind needs to fill in those blanks.
To that point, Matt, that really that would be so reminiscent of David Fincher's, definitely Seven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly that. Exactly that.
That would be Seven down to a T.
Exactly that.
Great movie, by the way.
That's
it's a great film.
The other, you can play with it. The amount of creepiness you can create in an audience where you want to tell a story and just put the emphasis on how fucking creepy Sai is, or how fucking creepy Kevin Spacey is with the Seven. Dude, how creepy is fucking Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects?
Yeah.
Where he builds a story from tacked on things that are in front of him, and you only realize that at the end. Sorry for spoiling this.
What's funny too is the bottom too. It's the bottom of the coffee cup.
Yes,
he was able to see the name, the manufacturer on the bottom of the coffee cup, and create a fictional name based off of part of that. It's like that's again what we love about this podcast is just good storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said, when he snaps, you see him stalking Nina and is it?
Sorry, it's Will and Maya.
Will and Maya. Yeah, Nina is the other one. So he stalks them. Then you can tell how smart he is by giving the concierge just a little bit of information to get more information, to use the phone it's like, to be fair, that only gives you how intelligent Sai is, and couple that with how lonely he is. It's a good, let's say, good combination of how creepy and how dangerous it can be when you combine the two.
And again, going back to Drex's point, like Mr. Glass.
Exactly. And the thing is, with Mr. Glass, he knows it about himself. And when everything is, and it's like, not even when everything is revealed, he tells David Dunn in the movie, there's an opposite reaction where I'm this way, so you must be this way. Mm-hmm. But you don't really believe him until it actually becomes apparent that, oh shit, this all led up to this. But of course,
and what a shame that the end of that.
Oh, by the way,
was.
I forgot Agent Coulson is in this.
Agent, there he is.
Greg is in this.
He has one line. It's like, holy shit, he hasn't aged in about 10 years?
Right.
Hold. Okay.
That'd be Mrs. Meth in the background.
That'll be Mrs. Meth going to bed. And of course, set of instructions, as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't aged. This is 2002.
So it was probably I think the original started
6 years. He looks exactly the same.
Well, it started filming in 1998. The guy did post-production delays. That's a whole other thing. But
wait a minute. 1 Hour Photos started in 1998?
Yeah, pre-production.
Damn.
That kind of explains how Eric LaSalle looks like Dr. Benton for reals.
And you notice too. You notice Nita's cell phone in the cafeteria. That was an old Motorola Z738. The big, really one of the first flip phones, but it was like the battery was this big on the back of it. It had basically like a 2-hour battery, and that was it.
Right. Let's jump into gratuitous nakedness. By the way, again, you didn't have to show the nudity, but you did show a little bit, just to give you a taste. And it's not super over the top. When he does their poses, you don't see much. You see naked people, but you don't see much. Everything is pretty much covered. Only when he bursts into the door, that's where you have the occasional titty where
full frontal for both of them technically.
Yeah. But this is like the actor is Michael Vartan. Mm-hmm. Was this before Alias or after Alias?
Before Alias.
Yes. Before he became real big.
Because I think Alias started in 2001. So this technically would have finished wrapping.
I would say this is right around the time where he started to become Michael Vartan. But like I said, after Alias, there's nothing.
Didn't do much.
Never mind. Now, this scene, like I said, I think this whole scene, this entire scene was all in Sai's head. You're saying that happened?
It did because of the what. Well, if this would not have happened whatsoever, he would have not been actually taken and being interrogated.
No. Because he did take the photos of the boss's kid as a threat.
Yes, but that would have gotten you in a charge for maybe aggressive stalking. That wouldn't have you in a situation where you would actually be interrogated by a police detective. There would not be a manhunt out for you had this scene not happened.
I don't know.
And even to be fair too, on the opposite end, having a wall of photos, yes, it's outrageously fucking creepy, but having a wall of photos with someone's faces scratched out on them, that's not illegal.
Yeah. But before
it's creepy as shit, don't get me wrong. I know. That's not illegal.
I mean, let's just face it. Before we get to the whole, like when he bursts into the room, when he goes to the hotel, there's a scene where the cops are showing, like I said, when you see Agent Coulson, she calls her, like her husband's, Nina calls her husband's job, and the guy's trying to be evasive because he knows the guy just went. It's like, I know he's fucking Maya. I just need him.
I love that line. I love that.
She knows he's cheating on her, but she tries to keep the family together.
Yep.
Now, again, is it an unreliable narrative, which is Sai's building that story in his mind, or did it actually happen? I don't know.
You're building up quite the Joker complex in this film, man.
Hey, you did the thing for me when we did the Joker. You said everything was in his mind, and I told you yes, but I would much rather take the movie on its face. And then one, after watching, like I said, I didn't expect to watch it 3 times. I usually watch it once and then once again when I do the bit that we do at the end. But I really wanted to get to the bottom of is it a story that he built in his mind, or did it really happen? Now, parts of it you agree it's him, where he's at their house and he got caught. At the end, just because we see the pictures are not really nude. When Sai sees the pictures, I'm going to flash it up on the screen. Right at the end, when he gets caught. Let me see. There, right there. All the pictures, he puts them in a nice little layout, same as he did in the apartment. Nice, there is no posing pictures. He took random ass pictures. So I think it's all in his head. I think.
How much of this do you believe is in his head? The whole thing, like in Joker?
The attack.
Oh,
I think he was at the hotel where they went to do their the romance thing.
Yeah, but he didn't actually burst in.
Only imagined him attacking them because he's aggressive, but he's not really that aggressive. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay. The only thing I take umbrage with that is that during the beginning of the attack, he actually pauses for a moment, and the score even intensifies with basically its violin hitting the same just G sharp note going noise where he grabs his head. It's where what is happening right now is him reconciling of what happened to him in his past as a child. And what he's about to do.
The photos?
Yes. And how he's even instructing Will and Maya. You notice how his demeanor changes completely.
Yeah. He becomes much more aggressive.
The aggressor. Yeah.
Much more aggressive. We're going to stop because we've got basically a few more scenes. We're going to do our second segment of the show. My personal favorite. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter for the uninitiated is where we take 2 movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two of them are good or 2 of them are bad, we fall on our personal criteria, which is we got 2 movies. Which one of them do we want to pop in? It's Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. Which one will you put in? Right? This is a good way to start. So, Drex, with help from the chat, 2 movies, and we need to get a definitive answer. We've got 3 of us here. It could be 3 votes. It could be 2 against 1, whatever. Which one will you pop in? Hudson Hawk or X-Men First Class?
Easily X-Men. Here's why. I'll tell you what X-Men gave us that Hudson Hawk did not. And I remember that was a huge knock on Bruce Willis's career when it released.
Yep.
I do remember that. X-Men First Class gives us Michael Fassbender really getting to that next level, right? As Magneto. Because we had never seen, all we got was Ian McKellen, right? And he's Magneto, but I mean, he's just all old and it didn't quite hit. X-Men First Class just worked. Actually, you know what? It was the first time I ever saw Jennifer Lawrence, right? She was in was it Winter's Bone, a couple other movies, but
yes, she was in an Oscar movie.
But X-Men First Class is her first foray into becoming a star, and everybody in that movie who became a star. This is what makes that movie really nice. It was filmed in a very short amount of time, right? Came together and James McAvoy just only got bigger. Michael Fassbender only got bigger. Nicholas Hoult got bigger. Jennifer Lawrence got so. Everyone's career elevated. Bruce Willis's movie took a hit when it came because, to be fair, it was misunderstood. Hudson Hawk was misunderstood upon release.
All my feelings is going to go with you with X-Men First Class.
I already know the reason
I'm going to go with
this up. He's been trying to get me to review Hudson Hawk forever, Drex. So I hate that movie.
Love this movie, but it's
Why
going to
do
be
you love
X-Men.
it?
I don't know. I've watched it so many times.
If you
X-Men First Class, watch it twice. Right. Moving on. House 2, The Second Story, or Little Nicky.
Now, I know you have not seen House 2.
I have not seen
This
House
is the easiest thing in the world for me.
But you go ahead. I don't want to put...
I never saw House 2, right? But do you know why it wins? Because I've seen Little Nicky.
Yeah, I've seen Little Nicky too.
You can put any movie up next to Little Nicky and it's better.
All right. Sandlot or Shrek 2? Oh, look, it's She-Hulk.
Oh no. Why'd you have to go there? We were having such a good time. Why'd you have to go there?
You know what? Sandlot has something that Shrek 2 doesn't have, and it's because it's when you're born, right? It's the nostalgia. It's the slice of life. So Sandlot wins because, I mean, let's face it. I was born in 82. I'm basically these kids' age, right?
Yep.
It all rings true to me. By the time Shrek 2 comes out, I'm in college, right? I'm older now, and I'm looking at Shrek 2 like, yeah, Shrek 2 was a good movie. It's decent.
It's decent. I would have more fun with Sandlot. Haven't seen it in ages.
I would also have to say, Drex born in 84 here, so as a latchkey kid, I've watched The Sandlot. I can't tell you how many times.
Yep.
In Bruges, or You've Got Mail. I've seen In Bruges. Oh, my feelings.
So good.
Watch it. I don't dislike Colin Farrell in so many movies. In Bruges, Ralph Fiennes is legitimately a great actor. He needs a good role.
Yes.
You've Got Mail is a romantic comedy cash grab for me. Drex?
It definitely is. Okay. I remember when In Bruges came out, didn't see it. Have seen You've Got Mail, right? And You've Got Mail is such a breezy, like whatever rom-com. I'll tell you what You've Got Mail does have in its favor. If you don't want to like think, you just sit down and just let it go, right? So like one day I'll watch In Bruges. I remember, like I said, I remember when that came out because this was actually when Colin Farrell was at a career crossroads. I remember that.
Yep,
he had been in a lot of movies
after Phone Booth. I think.
No. Remember, he was hot when Tigerland and Phone Booth came out. This is after Alexander.
Alexander was the big one, yeah.
So Colin Farrell was actually on a downturn, and then like they said, no. If you don't like Colin Farrell, he's really good in this. So like this was kind of like his like I guess you could say comeback.
Yeah, Phone Booth was 2002. Alexander was 2000?
04.
Or 2001? Yep. No, 04?
Yep.
Really? Yep. So he was definitely a downturn. And suddenly this, I'm like, oh, shit, that's awesome. So In Bruges. Next, School of Rock or 28 Weeks Later. I hate zombie movies, but I would pick a zombie movie any day over Jack Black.
Okay, I was going to say.
You had fun of Day of the Dead, though, man.
I did have fun with Dawn of the Dead. God damn it!
It was Dawn of the Dead. Oh, Day of the Dead. We were gonna do.
I'm not really a horror guy.
Oh, really?
I can watch it. I can watch it. But I love the gratuitous horror films. So like Child's Play, I like stupid. The Leprechaun, I like the original. Yep. Like the stupid ones.
So, side note, just a little preview, Drex. He has never seen Reanimator, so we're gonna have him watch it for this Halloween season.
Yes.
Yeah, Nick had me watch it. Like Nick and I used to. I mean, we just ran through any like. So I actually, this is the sequel. I saw 28 Days Later in the theaters with Nick when it came out.
Nice.
And yeah, dude, this is the thing. Zombie movies, there is no middle ground. If you notice though, you've never seen an average zombie movie, right? Either it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah,
very true.
Either Dawn of the Dead or World War Z.
Yeah.
Or Land of the Dead, Romero's last film.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think about it. You don't get an average zombie movie, right? It's just like outstanding or terrible. Oh yeah,
here we go. Man. Our boy Johnny Depp.
Blow.
What?
Lion King beats Blow.
Okay.
And I saw Blow in theaters with Nick opening day in 01.
I've seen it on DVD, I think.
My mom and I went to go see Blow.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I am a Disney hater. Not from today, not from 2 years ago. It's been a long time. Lion King, it could be an exception. It's way better than Blow. It's just way better than Blow.
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill or The Thing. That's going to be our last pairing because we can go on for ages.
Shit. I saw Silent Hill in theaters, man. I'm going to go with
Silent Hill. Not something I would watch. Managed to push myself through it. Chat says Silent Hill. I haven't even looked at the chat.
If they would have done Silent Hill correctly,
that's what I'm saying. Like, listen, okay, if you played the first two games,
it would have been good.
This is 2011. The Thing.
Yes.
Oh, shit, yeah,
it's a remake.
Not 1979.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, in that case, Silent Hill. Yeah, oops.
Silent Hill.
I didn't look at the chat. Yeah, yeah. This is not what's it called? John Carpenter. Wait, what was that? I saw Blade.
Oh no! Oh, you want this? Let's go.
Okay, well, the last one. It's
last
Blade
one
versus
Blade
Saving Private
Ryan.
Ryan.
You know what? I'm gonna go Blade.
It's gonna be Blade for me.
Saving Private Ryan has a great opening and a great ending.
I would say.
I thought the middle of it just drug on.
I would say, given the criteria of what we had before, and also the fact that we've actually already reviewed Blade, Drex, and as I've gone through, I was adamant about Blade created the MCU. Without Blade, there would be no MCU. In fact, there would be no X-Men films.
None.
There would be no reversion of there wouldn't even been the Spider-Man that Sam Raimi made without Blade.
Yeah, none of it.
It literally Blade.
It was a hard R too. That was Blade was the okay. I'll tell you what makes Blade unique. Blade was a hard R Marvel movie, right? Yet it was at a time when, like you said, it was really the first of its kind. It's the reason why when they said Black Panther was the first black led, I'm thinking to myself, you forgot about Blade?
Yeah, forgot about Blade.
Fuck, the other thing is, other than the special effects, everything stands the test of time.
Yeah,
we discussed
scene at the end
where
he separates the blood. Oh yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's some rough
the
stuff.
Lamagra scene does not hold up.
What's funny is you can tell when they did practical effects against CGI. When they had Pearl, the big bloated vampire, that was all practical effects. You can see how well it was done, and even when she was being fried by the UV light, they were actually doing that, and they were cooking the actual outside of the silicone bodysuit. So that's why it looked realistic. The same thing with some of the original serum. When he was tossing the serum and it would cause them to explode. Some of them were done practically, so when their faces were expanding, it was done with practical makeup effects. So it looked good.
But when they exploded, back to shitty CGI.
Yeah, CGI, yep.
Well, then, and also the skeleton vampire, the winged vampires coming out of...
God.
Yeah. That was rough. And I will always remember Blade for one line as the last line of the movie. Well, one of the last lines. I skate uphill.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
It's you know what I call it? The button on the movie. Just put the button on the movie and just let it ride.
Well, that was the era, right? I mean, you guys remember that was the one-liner era?
Oh, yeah, 98.
A lot of people, these kids now, man, when they go to movies, I'll tell you what changed. Back then, you got the correct one-liners, and also the action did the talking. Now, Joe, you have instead banter, right? Needless banter.
Sitting around and talking about it. And
just
moving to there and sitting around and talking about it.
The worst defender right now, which we've talked about this to death, Meph, is the Loki series.
Sitting around and talking about it.
That's all they do about it.
Going there and talking about it. And doing this and talking about it.
It's always banter.
Give me... It's a 25-minute show. Give me something. It's the MCU. Okay, it's a comic. I'm not a comic book guy. He's a comic book guy. But what I know is you have panels, right? There's panels where they talk, gives you a little bit of exposition dump. Moving on, kapow, kablam, kablam. Why? Because you're fighting a bad guy. There's a definite fucking bad guy. Not a guy comes at the end of the series. Oh, free choice and all that. Yeah.
Well, also these aren't supposed to be high works of art. It's a fucking comic book movie or a comic book series. It's supposed to be something where you go, you know what? I got a bag of popcorn and I got 2 hours to kill. Let's kick back and relax.
Not only that, it's the fact that the people who make the thing or made the thing know it's printed on a shitty fucking paper. It's literally the shittiest paper ever, and it's gonna be read and tossed. That's the thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Manga in Japan works the same way. You read it and you leave it at the train station, or leave it on the bus. You read it and somebody else picks it up, reads it, and then tosses it away.
That's more like Shonen Jump, which is like a amalgam of different things that comes out like on a monthly or weekly basis. Depends on, I don't know if they changed it anymore.
Yeah, but it's not
like the great, like the bigger ones, like weekly narratives. Yeah, you can do that. But if you want to collect them, yeah, you can buy the big the manga collections.
That's what I'm saying. You can do the all day for everybody. I just want to read my stories and get to work at that sort of thing. And also, if I really liked it, I can get the high gloss stuff and order it around and just pay an extra thing. Otherwise, it's just consumption and out the door. And that's how it was. It's the thing about collectibles. It's very late. It becomes very, very late. Anyway,
and that only really started back with especially when, side note on comics.
Yeah,
that only really became the big thing when the death of Superman happened. That's when the comic book industry had a giant boom for a very small period of time, where everyone wanted to collect comic books because this is the death of Superman. People are going to want to buy this. People are going to want to have this at some point in time. So they had a massive influx of people buying comics. That's why you can buy the copy of the Death of Superman super cheap still, because they printed so many of them.
Yeah. So the last kind of scene that I wanted to talk about the movie is this scene where you see Sai breaking down, and we get basically the rest of the story that started with him talking to Jake about when he was a child. And it comes sort of unexpected. So it's a very benign question. It's like, why did you do it? And then he starts into this spiel of, oh, it's like this, and sometimes families do this. And then he goes into, oh, sometimes you get pictures taken of you when you're young, and you see the anger, you see the anguish in his face. And when he holds the pictures, he's like tensing up.
Well, what he was saying too, Meth, was he was talking to Detective James Vanderlee, by Eric LaSalle.
Yep.
But he said, well, I can tell by the way you carry yourself and the way you conduct your job that you're a good man. You wouldn't do something like betray your family by having an affair, or then he goes into the rant about having your child dressed up and taking these filthy, degrading photos of.
Yeah.
You know?
and then you're like, oh shit. This is like this.
That's the real
him. The core. That's the core of how it became this obsessed dude. The only thing is he is capable of taking those photographs because he kind of took photographs of the boss's daughter, but not in a degrading way. He took pictures of her when she was just playing outside in the yard, right? Very innocent, like sort of the same pictures that Jake was taking with his family and the birthday and all that stuff. But it becomes creepy when it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And you get it right at the very end where he has that little meltdown in front of the camera where you see all the anger, you see where the hurt comes from, but immediately when that hurt ends, it's going into blank slate, and then you see him asking for the pictures again, and the detective kind of relents, and you understand why he relents, because it's literally pictures of a faucet, a drape.
Well, and also when he got arrested too, what was his defense when he got arrested? I just took some pictures.
Yeah,
I just took some pictures.
I just took some pictures.
Yep.
And literally, the last picture, the last frame you see of this movie.
Oh, here's the creepy smile, dude.
This is so unsettling, is unreal.
Dude, I don't even know why it says. Look, watch this. Real shit. You don't know what this movie is. This is a real family, right? Sake of argument, right? This is not a movie. Be honest. Oh, my feelings. What do you say about my man Robin Williams in this picture? If these were just regular people, what would you say?
Run.
That's a creepy uncle.
Dude, this is the guy who was like, I don't know if he was born sterile. He might be an incel, whatever his story is. You wouldn't want him around your children, right? Like when someone says the creepy uncle, and someone goes, okay, show me what creepy uncle looks like. That is the creepy uncle, right?
Yep. Like, dude, he is the quintessential, creepy uncle.
Okay, do you notice his color? Here's the thing that gets lost in this. His color palette is off, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you notice?
Yep. He's all beige.
He's beige. The boy is playing soccer. The family, do you notice? You got our girl Nina there, right?
Yep.
Nina and Will are in a relationship. So she looks like a wife, right? He looks like a husband, right? Brownish, kind of just suburbia, right? Yep. Suburbia with a soccer kid. But why is he beige? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
He's other. Do you know that's what beige? Like, if you guys ever seriously, next time you guys go out and about, I want you to look for anybody wearing beige. Honestly, really look for it.
Dude, in Israel, you would never catch anybody dressing like that.
Nobody, bro. If you walk into a room right now wearing fucking beige, dude, people will get creeped out, man. Like, honestly, really, if you just set immediately, they're like, because it represents emotionless, colorless,
tasteless,
alien. That's what beige is. Remember, now it wasn't always that way, but guess what? Enough creepy size existed that's what beige became, right? So the whole the trench coat meme, right? The creepy guy in the trench coat. Look, he looks creepy. Look, the other thing is,
if you notice, it's down to the head nod. He's not. You see, Jake is straight.
Yep.
The husband is straight. The wife is straight. She's leaning over. Her head is straight. He is standing straight with the head nod.
And also too, you cannot tell whether or not he's smiling. It's like smiling in itself is a foreign concept to him.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'll tell you what this is always represented to me. He is, let's call it, he's faking human, right?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Here's another thing. Okay, you're not just talking about that they're saying straight, right? This guy, I think we can all agree, would look out of place no matter where he is, right?
Yep.
Do you ever get that feeling? Look at the picture though. He looks out of place, right? Like even if 100 people were in this picture, right? All right, sigh, smile. Do you notice that his, like you said, his is the only smile that's not genuine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not a genuine smile. He's alien. He's other.
He's not. You can't tell if he's smiling or not.
I don't know what he's doing. Is he smiling?
You see, the thing is with Robin, when he's not smiling, he still has that, sides, I would say the Nicholson side of the face smile.
Yeah.
But he's not smiling. Or is he? You can't tell. That's why it's so fucking weird. That's why it's out of place. You would expect a person to show maybe a little bit of teeth. Maybe if you're a little bit shy, maybe not. But you're still going to have that round smile. His mouth is straight.
Straight. And you know the other thing is, his eyes aren't open, really, right? Barely open.
Yep.
Right? Because I want you to seriously go back and look at all your like kid pictures, right? Kids are wide-eyed. She's doing
Even
like a warm smile.
Even in this picture.
Yep.
The husband's wide-eyed. The wife is. There's a little bit of shade, but that's because of the lighting. But the kid is wide-eyed and he's squinting.
He's squinting, right? I think, dude, here's the thing. You have to rehearse to make your eyes do that, because that's, like I said, it's okay. If you are a human, making that face is unnatural. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you have any humanity, if someone says, all right, oh, my feelings, make that face. Do you know something? You're going to struggle to do it, right? Mm-hmm. You would struggle to be inhuman. But see, someone who is inhuman struggles to be human. So they're like trying to be normal. Like, dude, go look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Go pull up Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. Like, Ted Bundy actually does look crazy. Yes. He has the crazy guy eyes, right? John Wayne Gacy looks crazy. But do you know who has a different look? Ed Gein and fucking Jeffrey Dahmer have that weird pseudo nothing blank face.
Have you seen that show? I think it's called Manhunter. Mindhunter?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Manhunter is the original.
No,
Red Dragon movie. That
no. Yeah.
That's also the original novel as well.
The original novel, which is better than Red Dragon, by the way. That
was better. Well, actually, it was even. Like, I don't know if you've seen Hannibal, the series, one of my favorite series of all time.
My brother loved that.
I think they did Red Dragon better in 4 episodes than the film did ever.
Yep.
What is the guy's name? It's Edmund
fucking Kemper.
Kemper. Dude, the guy
he is terrifying.
The guy who plays Kemper in Mindhunter. Kemper it's modeled after Kemper.
Yeah, he was
guy
6'7"
has the actor does
that's creepy.
The same face when he's talking to an FBI agent who's the main protagonist of the show. And he has this same look. Doesn't matter what they're talking about. And there's an episode, I think it's the penultimate episode, where he genuinely creeps you the fuck out and goes for he goes for the kill, but
Look at his size, though. I didn't know this guy's 6'9".
No, he's
big. By the way,
read
the story about Edmund Kemper.
Dude, that
you know what's crazy?
Drex,
you guys saw that Alabama
single mother, dude.
Oh, of course.
Well, there was one line in there where he finally does. Well, spoiler. He kills his mother. He rips out her larynx and tries to put it down in the garbage disposal. He turns the garbage disposal on. Her larynx flew out, and he said, even testimony, like, even in death, the bitch wouldn't stop talking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the real guy who said that.
That's the real guy. Yeah. The real guy said that.
When I'm looking at this guy, right? Look at this picture. Now, do yourself a favor. The Alabama, the two that were on the run in Alabama, right?
Yeah.
6'9". Do you ever look at that guy's picture? Just type in like Alabama fugitive. You'll see. Look at this guy's face, man. He's eating some people, bro. Like Alabama fugitive. Like he just got caught. Look at that face.
Let's see.
Let me see what his name is.
We can pull it up.
Alabama.
We can pull it up. Yeah, I can pull this picture up.
He was the inmate who ran.
That's him.
So if you read this guy's actual crimes, bro, and he told his ex-girlfriends,
he looks like the methed out version of John Krasinski.
Yep.
From The Office.
Yep. He has a look though, right? Like, you and I both know. You saw this dude, right?
Rip Mr. Fantastic.
You know this dude. Like you know how you can meet people and you just know they probably they might have someone like tied up in a basement right now.
Yeah.
You just kind of know, you're like, something like, something's off.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this Kemper dude. Okay, anybody that didn't think that this guy was, first of all, anytime you have 3 names, you're destined to be a serial killer.
Oh, what's funny
yeah.
is what's really funny about Ed Kemper, though, Drex, is the fact that he wanted to be in the police academy, but he couldn't get in due to his size, and then also some other. Well, when he was a child, he did kind of shoot both of his grandparents in the face. There's that. But he started hanging around cop bars and everything, right? He got ingratiated with a whole bunch of California highway patrolmen, got really friendly with them. In fact, when he called to confess, the cops didn't take him seriously because they're like, "There's no Ed, are you drunk? Stop it, man."
That's exactly what. That's exactly Cy. Yeah, Cy putting himself in the story where he's not living that story. He's just ingratiating himself with like this new family that he doesn't really have.
Do you notice that? Here's the other thing. It's never reciprocated, right? It's not like hanging around a cop bar is not the same as being a cop, being in their fraternity. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
These guys are usually wannabes. Travis Bickle was a wannabe. Cy is a wannabe. Are you starting to see the same thread is going through all these guys? Dude, people like this are far more terrifying than people really realize because they don't have a limit to their violence. And the reason they don't have a limit is because when you have nothing, you'll do anything. And think about it, for attention, for gratification, whether it be sexual or whatever. Like, you notice a lot of serial killers are psychosexual. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
It's usually something that involves psychosexual violence, right? And you're like, bro, like can't you just have like normal? No, Henry Lee Lucas, they don't have it. Actually, Matt, do you remember that scene in
Jeffrey Brudos? Yeah, Brudos was the same way. Yeah, he had a loving wife. He had 2 children with her. Still went out killed.
Yep. So
Dahmer. Look how many relationships Dahmer had. Successful relationships, actually.
Yeah.
That Dahmer had. Same with
what movie did you say, Drex?
Oh no, in Collateral. Do you remember the moment where the armor finally gets broken? Right, it's kind of like in 5 Deadly Venoms with the toad skin. When Jamie Foxx, when Max says it to Vincent, he goes, the standard parts that are supposed to be in people in you aren't. Mm-hmm. And do you remember? You can see he's genuinely hurt by that.
Yep.
Right, because remember, childhood trauma. Right, mom died, raised by a dad who was abusive. Group homes, all that kind of stuff back with him. So you can see. Underneath all of this, at the very core, what you're looking at is a broken child, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what. Because if you're a broken child, as you age, your body is going to mature. So in Ed Kemper's case, I'm looking at him, his body matured into a 6'9" Hulk, right? What does that tell us? What that tells us, though, is that if Ed Kemper were this size at age 9, he would have done the same shit to his mom. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly.
He still needed that little thing that puts him over the edge because he took abuse. And when he realized I am this big, I can snap
do it.
And you're snapped. You're dead.
Yeah. Because that's like mentally, you got to remember, it's kind of like when you train an elephant, right? Guys who are like big and hulking, and someone goes like, why are they fighting back? It's like, you got to remember, a lot, especially if they're raised by single moms, their masculinity was beaten down so much. That's why they aren't like lashing out. But once they fight, like I said, once it snaps though, right? Once they realize, wait a minute, you can't stop me. Because remember, if all your life your mom has put you in your place, smacked you around, talked shit about you, you couldn't do anything. But once you actually realize your body can be used to harm someone and they can't stop you. I mean, you guys remember, was that movie called Megamind? The moment the beta male got power, he became the villain?
Yep.
Really?
Exactly.
The moment, like, boom, becomes a villain. Of course he becomes a villain.
Yep.
Like, dude, like most,
it's
like,
sort of the backwards hero.
Chronicle's a great example. Yeah.
Chronicle nailed it, right? Because what was his home life like? Shitty, right?
Yeah.
So the only difference between the hero and the villain in most things is always what? The hero and the villain both go through tragedies, personal tragedies. What does the hero do? I'm going to make the world better. I'm not going to use this as an excuse, right?
He rises above tragedy.
What does the villain do, though? The villain sulks in it and goes like this: the world owes me, right?
Yeah.
The world owes me for what happened to me. And it is that one, it's so they don't move past and rise above the trauma. So what do? Now I'm going to go traumatize others, right? For what happened. That's why, there's always a bitterness to them, right?
Yeah. And lashing
out. That's why the audience always understands the villain, right? We understand Darth Vader, right? We understand him. Of course we understand him. And we start to realize, oh, this is how you become this, right? Of course this is why you're so cruel to other people. It makes logical sense, man.
All right.
We've got your point too. Just one last note, though. Drexel,
yeah, no worries, man.
That's why in a lot of situations where, especially everything along the hero's journey, why the older that you get, when you go back and you watch the traditional hero's journey, you find yourself not really empathizing with the hero so much because you can't quite understand why are you like this. You have no sense of context of why you should be persevering other than someone wrote you to keep persevering.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Before we end the show, we have a little bit of segment called the short version, where I take a full movie, condense it into about less than 2 minutes, just to have fun, recollect on what actually happened. Now, this week, it was very, very short because of copyright stuff. So it's very, very short. It's about a minute.
I wouldn't be surprised.
15. There's a lot of score running through copyright, YouTube, all that stuff. Right. So before we end the show, we'll go this and that and this. Always hate to set this up because restream, whatever. Right. The short version of 1 Hour Photo.
Here we go. The short version.
Can I see them?
That's not a courtesy, Mr. Parrish. This is evidence.
Family photos depict smiling faces.
Birthday boys get a free camera.
Who is that and doesn't have any friends? Sigh.
You're an emotionally neglectful husband. And you're an emotionally neglectful father.
Are you fucking kidding me? 0.3? Nobody gives a shit until those shifts are in the double digits.
If they wanted to see yelling and screaming, they stay at home.
You have a wonderful family. And if you don't mind my saying so, a very beautiful house, too. And I broke my collarbone and I had to wear this weird cast where I kept my arm up like this all winter.
It's so weird. I'm reading that exact book right now.
It's on print. I haven't fucked up a customer's prints in 11 years.
Dwayne, I know he's fucking Maya Burson, and I don't give a shit about that right now. I just need you to tell me where he is.
I tell you to do things, then you fucking do them, exactly like I tell you.
You would never take disgusting, sick, degrading pictures of your children doing these things.
Can I see my pictures now?
Sure, sir.
All right. There were a little bit of sound issues, but fuck me. Sometimes these things are so annoying to put together. It drives me up the wall. All right,
he
cool.
Wants to that might be the creepiest scene, man. Because he's wearing beige. Like, it's just had he wearing like human clothes, I don't think that scene comes off as creepy, right?
Yeah,
when he's in the stands, when he's walking with him,
and when they do close-ups of him. It's very, very deliberate. That's why I literally fell in love with this movie all over again on what it represents, how you get just the cinematic around the story, because the story is pretty basic.
Very basic.
How they get around everything to show you some things without telling you. To stop telling me everything. Just show me some things. Oh,
and also, could you imagine the fact just a slight swap in directors this is the way it's shot. I think Romanek did a great job of basically impersonating David Fincher.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, that's
even
right.
the stock at the beginning where it cuts with the film grain coming in, the 1 hour photo cut. I'm like, this is reminiscent of what?
Yep.
7mm.
Exactly. All right. It's 8mm.
7. 8mm.
All right.
Nick Cage.
If you want to interact with the show, please at me on Twitter. My DMs are actually open this time, or send me a message on Instagram. You can email the show at the Reel McCoy podcast at gmail.com. And if you want to watch us on Twitch rather than YouTube, you can go on Twitch at the Reel McCoy podcast. And our great guest who got bullied into Twitter, but we love him for it. The Reel at the Reel Drex. If you want to interact with Drexel or catch him is it every week that you do this?
Every week.
Do you pre-record?
Yeah, pre-record.
Yep. Follow him on YouTube, MigtownPodcast. It is linked in the description and in the title. You can just click on it. It immediately goes right there, and check it out. Interact with those people. But the problem is Tim, the producer, does not answer back to emails. So fuck. Just kidding.
What a tragedy.
All right. Until next week. All right. Next week, the last week of May, still within the Robin Williams month, we are going to cover Good Will Hunting. Top 5 for me. I checked it just now when we did the other thing. Phenomenal Robin Williams performance. Very small part, Oscar worthy, got the Oscar. It's just a great film just to sit down and watch, even if you're not coming to interact with us. But
that was technically Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's first independent film, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Young Casey Affleck too.
Casey Affleck, you're right. You are right.
That was one of his buddies.
Filled with everything. Watch it. Come back to us next week, and we will geek out on it. Till next week, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend.